Welcome back to our program, Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle, where we invite professionals in their fields to come along and educate and inspire the community to live more healthily, feel more balanced and truly live a lifestyle they love. Our first guest is Dr. Zara Chelik, our integrative health and wellness expert, and she's back with us today to talk about eliminating fatigue. So welcome, Zara.
Thank you.
Is fatigue actually feeling tired?
It's actually more than that. So usually with fatigue, tiredness is you can get enough sleep and it can resolve itself. With fatigue, however, that's not necessarily is the case. When someone experiences fatigue, it can indicate and give a message, convey a message about something deeper than tiredness going on in the body, something more significant going on in the body. It could be from a hormonal issue, such as hypothalamic pituitary axis dysfunction. It is like an orchestra, right? The hormones communicate like an orchestra. And if something's out of whack, the whole orchestra doesn't sound quite great. So it's similar to that, So the hormones communicate in a nice orchestra, if you like. And when there is a disruption in that, and that disruption is like the hypothalamic pituitary axis dysfunction, and there's also adrenals in there as well. So the really correct name for that is hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis dysfunction. And that can usually come along with chronic and long-term stress, for example. Especially if the stress has been there for a long time. It could be a trauma, again, a perceived trauma. And it can be initiated from there. And if it is not resolved, it can lead to more health issues. So we want to make sure and let our viewers know that when you are experiencing something more than tiredness, and doesn't matter how much sleep you're getting, you're still not feeling quite right, the energy is less or depleted, then consult your healthcare practitioner. Get help. Get help where you get to find out exactly the root cause of your fatigue. It could be that hormonal factor. It could be an iron deficiency. It could be more. It could be also that person is not enjoying life. Again, that whole perceived, feeling the state of depression.
Would that be like chronic fatigue, or what's termed chronic fatigue?
Yeah, so usually in our society, people refer to that as chronic fatigue. Absolutely, you're right. But the correct terminology for it is it's a hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis dysfunction. So it's a dysfunction in our communication of the hormones. So it can usually happen and come on with maybe a perceived trauma, or high stress levels can lead to the interruption of the flow of energy in the cells, within the cells, and in this case, in the endocrine system. So, stress is chronic and it hasn't been attended and it hasn't been resolved. It can lead to that chronic fatigue. So the individual can feel really that lack of energy, that fatigue, and they can usually stimulate themselves with stimulants such as sugar or caffeine or sugary drinks and so forth to really push themselves to get through the day or start their day. The only problem with that though, we can push our adrenals to a limit where they're not able to produce that cortisol and adrenaline to when we need it most, which is in a stressful, real threat situations. I find with the modern world, particularly with the language that we associate with our day-to-day tasks, can create that internal sort of language, and internal biochemistry can adapt to it, and the hormones can be interrupted that way, and the communication in the hormones can be altered, and then that can lead to a stress as well. So I find in the modern world, again, things are on the go. Multiple screens going on. People put so much pressure on themselves, and there's also pressure it's expected externally as well. So people trying to really please and fit in and meet deadlines, right? So they can really push themselves. And to really get through the day, they can go to the stimulants and have the caffeine, have the sugar, to really get the tasks complete right. What happens though the whole physiology is giving feedback to us and we're ignoring it. So the biochemistry is not functioning well, and the physiology is giving feedback to let us know through fatigue that things are not doing well in the body. So rather than listening to the body's needs, we tend to go to those stimulants and to push ourselves to produce the deadline. But down the track, it can have more significant impact on our health and well-being and our energy levels. So I encourage people, once they know they fatigue and they're not, they don't have the energy they used to really stop and pay attention to the body and the symptoms, because symptoms is the way body communicating to us to let us know something isn't right. So once we know we are fatigued or we're not producing that outcome or the energy isn't the same, go deeper. What has changed? What can you do to support the body? Because it is telling you, it's giving you a message. What can you do to support that whole HPA axis dysfunction and reverse that as soon as you can, because it becomes a bigger problem in the future. So certain things could be such as, lifestyle factors play a big role. Remember I talked about the whole perceived stress or the language that we use and we create that internal stress. Could the individual work on that? Instead of saying, I have to, can we use more of the I get tos and have more gratitude around things that we do day to day?
So, Zara, if there was a couple of simple tips that the viewers could take with them today, then what would they be?
Yeah, sure. So, it's something simple as our lifestyle. One of them could be drinking enough water, enough hydration for our cells. So our cells are looking more like grapes, not like sultanas. So the other thing is starting our day. Instead of starting a day with a coffee or caffeine, could we instead invest in our health and well-being and make a nice smoothie that is not sugar-based? Can we go to bed earlier and have that enough sleep? Because sleep is really what helps our body to heal itself by itself and get that balance into the body again. So these are the certain things we can start implementing: our sleep and having a nice sleep ritual, having good time, a good bedtime ritual to have that quality sleep. Switching our electronics earlier, maybe like 2 hours, say, earlier than we go to bed, to take some time to, get into our body, connect with the body, and also to reward ourselves with something before we go to bed. Create that nice environment in your bedroom where it is inviting, it is calming, it is grounding. So that could be another thing that could really help our audience anyone's experiencing fatigue, to really invest and reverse, or even just boost our energy levels in general. That sleep is crucial.
Thank you for that.
My pleasure.
And for more information on Dr. Zara Celik and eliminating fatigue, then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. Dr. Zara will be back next time with us talking about stress management. Now we'll go to break and be back after the break with more amazing guests and topics. Welcome back, and now we have Mark Carazzo, business consultant and coach, and continuing the series on positive psychology. Today we're talking about positive emotions. And over to Mark. Mark, why is that important? Why are they important?
Well, Linda, they're very important, but before I get into that, I'd just like to give a bit of an outline of the most common positive emotions we deal with every day, and they would be things like serenity, awe, inspiration, curiosity, hope, pride, gratitude, love. They're all the things that we love to hear and we love to want more of. So I suppose the question of why they're important: firstly, they make us feel good. Nobody can have enough positive feelings. But what we've learned is that more positive emotions in our life actually dial up the learning centres in our brain. And this really means that we see life from a broader perspective, we can see opportunity, and we can accept what other people are saying. Negative emotions, things like fear, tend to lead us into a very negative form of behaviour like flight, or sadness into withdrawal. But we know now that positive emotions are broadening, and this has been given to us through effective brain imaging science as well as eye tracking science. So you can see that if we want to be the best form of ourselves, we need to try and experience as many positive emotions as possible, and certainly more positive emotions on a regular basis than negative. It also has been shown from a study called the Nun study that positive emotions lead to longevity. About 200 nuns in 1930, upon entering a convent, did a bit of an autobiographical study on what they were hoping to get out of life in the convent. Now, 6 decades later, scientists tried to take that writing to try and anticipate what in that writing could indicate how long those particular nuns would live for. And it wasn't the intelligence evidenced by their writing which showed how that long they would live for. It wasn't where they lived, it was more a question of how many positive emotions, how much happiness was shown in their particular writing. So I think that's very important. Positive emotions lead to longevity. It is also a buffer, a protective resilience against difficult times. And we also know, I think curiously now, is that people that experience positive emotions tend to have a more coherent and smooth heart activity, which is very important.
Oh, okay. And how would you say then, how could people incorporate more positive emotions into their lives?
I think the first thing to do is look at things that we already have in our lives, particularly even the small things, and be grateful for them. So I suggest that people practice regularly gratitude journaling, or practice gratitude in their everyday life. Find something to be thankful for. That of itself is a positive emotion. It's gratitude. It's also things like serenity. It brings awe. It brings curiosity. So gratitude is very important. I think the other thing we can do is savour pleasant experiences that we have in our life. We tend to jump from one good thing to the next and forget what we've been through. So it's a concept known as savouring or replaying. Something, for instance, from your past holiday within 6 months, live through how you felt that day, the emotions that you were feeling, the positive sense. You're basically reproducing something for which you've already experienced. So I think that's, two clear ways to do it. The other thing I really strongly advocate is meditation. It's a word which is confusing to a lot of people, but just finding something small, normally associated with nature, that you can focus on, calm yourself down, focus on that piece of nature, and try and keep the mind still is a great way, the research says, of bringing positive emotions into our life.
So important. And what about the workplace then?
Well, the workplace is a place where we spend a lot of our time. We spend 8 hours a day there, and yes, it can be a place for positive emotions. When you think about it, pride in your work, you can be inspired by other people, you can be in awe of other people. It's a place where relationships are very important to us, so there's even possibility of love. And when I say love, I don't necessarily mean love in the romantic sense. I mean love in a sense where we have mutual care for people, we share positive emotions with them. So the workplace is very important. The other thing to really note about the workplace is the concept of contagion, which basically really dictates that our moods and emotions are highly transferable to others. So we can pick up positive emotions from others, and importantly, I think we can share and give positive emotions to people that we work with.
Mark, would some positive emotions be more important than others?
It's a very individual question to ask that. I think they're all important. There's two that personally stick out for me. One of them is gratitude. Because we're so ambitious and because we're prone to sort of negativity, I think it's very important to rebalance our life, get into the present moment, is to look at what we've got on a regular basis and be thankful for it. And that unleashes a whole lot of positive emotions in our lives. So for me, gratitude is one. The other one is love. And I'm not saying love in the romantic sense. I'm saying love in moments of mutual care, in sharing of positive emotions with many people during our day and our friends. It's proven to be very important. We're seeing some good evidence showing that love helps us to have smooth, coherent heart patterns, and really is very valuable to our health.
And what about some hints for our viewers? What would be some final hints on experiencing positive emotions?
Well, do something that you love and you enjoy. Go out into nature, I think particularly, and not only experience positive emotions, but tell yourself you're experiencing positive emotions. So that moment is not lost on you, whether you say it outwards or whether you say it inwards. So that would be a key one. I think meditation is very important, as I've said before. And the other thing I think we should realise in this modern world, we tend to all carry mobile phones, and we really have seen them in some cases as a necessary item that accompanies us. It can be used for positive emotions. All of us have photos in there. All of us can create slideshows of our recent holidays. All of us can take a photo of nature. So I'd say there's 3 tips for you.
Thank you so much, Mark. For more information on Mark Corazzo, then please go to our website healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au, talking about positive psychology. And now we'll go to break. And next we have Barbara Baldock, who's a community volunteer. Today she's talking to us about volunteering and how positive that is for the volunteers. Welcome, Barb.
Hello.
And I know that you're a grandmother of 21 and a great-grandmother of 3. What are your secrets for staying so young and energetic?
Well, I think what it is that I love people. From a little girl, I always loved people. My mother always taught me, Barbara, take food and give it to the poor people. My mother was a great cook. So a lot of people say to me, Barbara, you're always cooking. Well, that's where I got it from. I got it from my mother. And I just love going out there today, helping people, making them feel happy, because I've got so much energy in my life. And I have a big secret about that. And the more I give out, the younger I feel. And I think that is a big secret in people's life. I do a lot of events for charity, and I just love it. And people say to me, Barbara, you must get tired. But I don't get tired, because the more I'm in touch with people, the happier and the more energy I seem to have. I'm wanting to learn, and that's another big thing in life. To learn, the more you learn, the younger it keeps you. I couldn't work a mobile phone many years ago, and I got to learn that, and then I went and did my computer course, and I'm quite proud of myself, because people at my age, they say, oh, I can't do that, I could never do that. Never say you can never ever do anything. You can do anything you want to do. And they are some of my secrets in my life. I have a lot stored up there also. I love music. I play the piano, and I've played classical music, and I've played modern music, and I also used to dance when I was younger. I wasn't a very good dancer, but I just love going out there and mixing with people. You can only ring me up. I have 3 phones at home, and I put them along the bench, and some days they'll all go together, and I'll put that phone on and that phone on, and people can have a conversation, because I'm such a busy person. I love cooking, and when a person comes home from hospital and they haven't got anybody there, people don't realise that these poor people haven't got a family, and I'll go round with a dinner for them, and it just makes them light up. But not only makes them light up, it makes me feel so much better going home and thinking how blessed I am that I have the energy at this age of my life. I've got a lot of thanks to God.
So Barb, what would be your big takeaway for our viewers today?
To just wake up, thank God you're alive, and get your shoes on and go out there in the community to help other people and make other people happy. And that's my big secret of staying young.
Oh, fantastic. And for more information on Barb and her secrets for staying so young and energetic, please go to our website healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. For now, we'll say bye-bye, and we'll see you next week here on Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle for more interviews with amazing people sharing their positivity and inspiration.